Yo, what's going on? Scotty Eaton, aka Scott Free, and I wanted to make this little video about one of my favorite players in the league. If you guys don't know, basketball is my favorite sport. It's been like my first dream as a little kid growing up to make it to the NBA. So basketball is something that I follow religiously. Unfortunately, I'm a New York Knicks fan, and it's been really tough over the last couple decades. It's crazy to say, but one of my favorite players has always been Carmelo Anthony. So I'll admit, I am a bit biased. I always try to be objective as I can when I talk basketball with my friends, but I wanted to make this video about Melo's strong comeback in the last couple of weeks on the Portland Trail Blazers, and also the way he's been playing very well, and how he recently was just named the Western Conference Player of the Week over James Harden and a couple other guys, Kawhi, all the other great players out west. And first and foremost, there was talk on First Take today about did he deserve it, and does Max Kellerman owe him an apology? Apparently Lala tweeted that after he was named Western Conference Player of the Week. Now, the fact that he was out of the league for as long as he was is a complete joke. It's not even an argument. It's laughable that anyone could try to make an argument saying that he does not deserve to be in the league. I don't care what your argument is, his age, his production as a player, his flaws, his lack of defense, and any type of other bullshit rumors and bad things that Melo has, had attached to his name over the years. Now, if you want to talk defense, I get it. He's not a lockdown defender. He's never been, although when he wants to, he can play tough defense. If you watch the way he played in 2009 when he made it to the Western Conference Finals, he locked Kobe up on a lot of those games, and he made it very hard for Kobe to get open even. Of course, the Lakers won, but mistakes were made, no fault of his own. He played his heart out, as he always did. I loved him on the Knicks. He gave everything he could to that organization. He had to put up with a revolving door of coaches and new players constantly. He never had a great player all-star in his prime. He never had anyone like LeBron's had, like other guys have had, Durant, everybody. His best player, you can argue, was what? An older Allen Iverson and a baby Kristaps Porzingis who couldn't stay healthy most of the time. So, if you want to talk about how he fell off in his production and he's a ball stopper, okay, yeah, everyone has flaws in their game. Everyone isn't Michael Jordan. But he, without a doubt, deserved to be in the league. It's laughable. I believe he did deserve Western Conference Player of the Week because of just being a feel-good story. He was out as long as he was, and he came back, played great in the 3 games this week. His team went 3-0. No other player in the Western Conference that was nominated for that went 3-0. I get it. James Harden dropped a lot of points, but he does that all the time. He's the last few seasons, Harden has been a consistent MVP candidate, if not the MVP. So, if you look at it, Melo came back killing it. Came back looking strong as he always did. And you could put him on, I don't care what team, you could put him on any team you want, and he will help the team. So, going off of what Max Kellerman said, or what Lala said, yeah, on First Take they said no, he didn't deserve an apology. I think he did. Max should have, because he could say he always supported him. He admitted that he didn't believe him and believe in him anymore, but he constantly downgraded Melo's play. He made it sound as if Melo didn't even belong to be in the league. And he basically, everything he said basically fit the narrative of him not even belonging in the league. Max's argument was, oh, well, look at the guys on the bench, the 6 to 9, 6 to 10 guys on the roster, and they're specialists. Those guys are 3-and-D specialists, Melo isn't that. He's an offensive threat, but he doesn't play defense, and he's a ball stopper, and he just doesn't fit on most rosters. It's just that's simple. So, yeah, Max, you can argue that you weren't directly like hating on him, and you could have said worse things about him, but the things that you were saying without a doubt fit the narrative that every other analyst was saying that was a big part of what kept him out of the league this long. So I do think that Max does owe him an apology, not that it was like anything really offensive or negative he said about him, but you look at what he said, 3-and-D guy. Okay, to make it real simple, let's just say that Max is basically saying every team has a bunch of Trevor Arizas on their squad. A guy that will D up on the perimeter, have solid effort on both ends of the court, but a specialist, as Max would put it, a 3-and-D guy. A guy that can knock down an open three and that can play good defense. So, if you look at every roster on the league, every team does not have Trevor Arizas on the bench. I mean, is Melo better than J.J. Redick? Is Melo better than Robert Covington? Is Melo better than half of the New York Knicks roster right now? Is Melo better than Bobby Portis? Is he better than Frank Ntilikina? Although Frank has been playing well, as I always supported him, so I'm happy to see that. But, is he better than Dennis Smith Jr.? Yeah. Is he better than... I could just go on and name a bunch of guys that aren't as good as a Trevor Ariza, which is what Max was saying. So that basically defeats his whole opinion on, those guys at the end of the bench should play a specific role and be a 3-and-D specialist. Oh, Carmelo was never a specialist. He just does what he does and doesn't play defense. That's it. So, without basically saying the words, Melo's washed up and doesn't belong in the league, Max was basically making that argument. So I do support Lala in her tweets saying that Max deserved him an apology. Like I said, it's nothing crazy offensive or personal that he said. Not like it's a big, huge deal if he doesn't apologize. But yeah, he should have at the least, I think, said, you know what, Melo, my bad. You look great in Portland right now. You're doing your thing, and I'm happy to see you in the league. And that's it. So that's my opinion on that. Melo has, like I said, always been one of my favorite players. He's never had a perennial all-star like other players has had, and he's had to put up with a lot in New York. He carried that franchise every season he was there. He did everything he could, and whenever we lost you look at his playoff record, and yeah, you can say he only got out of the first round twice, once in New York and once in Denver, but the teams he lost to were the teams that usually went on to win the chip. The Lakers, the Spurs, or the Heat. We lost to the Pacers that year because it was a bad matchup, but he did everything he could from the rookie season in Denver. His whole entire, all his years in Denver, he had the Nuggets fighting for one of the top spots in the Western Conference when you had the Spurs and Lakers in their prime with Duncan, Parker, Ginobili, and Kobe, Gasol, and Bynum, everybody. So, for all things considered, he did what he had. He did everything he had to do plus more. He never was a problem off the court. And the same things that were said about him, people were saying about Dirk until they finally put the right team around Dirk, and he won in 2011 against Miami. So that's it. I'll always be a Melo supporter. And, if he had a perennial all-star in his prime, he would have done better. OKC, you could argue, yeah, he had Westbrook, but Westbrook is a very unique player in which, like Max Kellerman says, I'll agree with him on this, you can watch Russell Westbrook play, and on one end, you could watch him do one play and say, wow, he's one of the greatest guys. I've never seen anything like that before. That was amazing. And then on the very next play, you can say, holy shit, this guy will never win a championship. So a guy like Westbrook, Durant couldn't even win with Westbrook. So, not to say any hate on him, but if you looked at what he's doing in Houston, they are a lot better with him off the court than they are with him on the court. James Harden is still doing what he does, and it seems like Westbrook is a guy that's trying to fit in. He's a ball-dominant point guard that makes a lot of bad decisions. So, you can say that he's one of the most, if not the most athletic point guard, aside from a prime D Rose, that we've ever seen in the league. But that's what I mean. The way he plays, he's not a great shooter, and he's very ball dominant, And like I said, one play you can say, wow, that was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And the very next one you can say, that was stupid and he will never win a chip. So, yeah, like I said, Melo has never had the players that these other guys have had and has had to put up with a lot of other bullshit. The last thing about what Max said was, oh yeah, you know, Melo, you were cut from those teams. You lasted 10 days in Houston and you were cut because you weren't good enough. Not really. Melo didn't want to get into it when he went on to First Take and did that interview with Stephen A. But the reason that everyone knows was because his first coach from Denver, Bismack, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing the name wrong. That guy was a defensive coordinator in Houston. He left, and then the day they cut Melo, what do you know? That guy comes back to Houston to work and coach the team on defense. That was his stipulation. You know, Melo said it was deeper than basketball. He didn't want to get into it because he didn't want to get personal. Understandable. He wanted to get back into the league, so he can't badmouth people. But that was the God's honest truth. The guy hated on him and said to Houston, listen, if he's here, I'm not. So that's it. I'm glad to see Melo back in the league, and he did deserve Western Conference Player of the Week, in my opinion. Love to see what you guys have to say about that. I'm a great basketball fan. I will talk basketball for hours. If anyone wants to leave their thoughts in the comments, I'd appreciate it. And that's about it. I'll see you guys later. Go Melo.